If you're struggling with anxiety, you may have noticed that you've been losing weight as a consequence of it. You may have lost 5 pounds, 20 pounds, 50 pounds, and you're wondering what can you do to regain back your weight? And you may even feel like you're withering away. Now, what I want to share with you is really what to do to start regaining back your weight, because this was an issue that I really had. I lost over 45 pounds and I'm not a big guy. So when anxiety hit me, I had no idea, and I just lost all my appetite and I lost all this weight, and it almost felt like it was a stamp on my forehead for everyone to see that even though they didn't know I was going through anxiety, they saw me lose so much weight that they got concerned. So what I want to share with you in this video is how to start regaining that weight. So let's get started. So to give you a little bit of context right now, I'm about 159 pounds. I'm not a very big dude, but when I was struggling with my anxiety, my lowest, I'll put a photo right here. You'll see I was actually less than 120 pounds. So I had lost, at that time when I was in the anxiety cycle, I was a little bit heavier, I was a little bit stronger, I was about 160 pounds, and I had lost over 40 pounds. And I almost was a guy that was sick, that was like unrecognizable. And I felt like when I was going through this anxiety cycle, I remember there was this time where I had a family reunion. So I went to my family's place in Dallas, and I spoke with an aunt there, and the aunt pulled me aside and she says, "Shaan, are you okay?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm fine." She didn't know at the time that I was going through really debilitating anxiety, and my appetite went away and I was nauseous 24/7. And she was like, "Shaan, like you look sick. Are you okay?" And I remember at that time I was trying to play it off, but I felt like you couldn't deny the fact that like I had lost just a lot of weight. And at that time there wasn't much I could do besides the fact of, "Oh yeah, I'm fine. It's not a big deal." And I remember when I was going through anxiety, I was just losing weight. And what I want to explain is, why is that happening? So when you're going through anxiety, what's really happening is that you're in this constant fight or flight mode. Okay? And this is something I wish somebody would have explained to me when I was on my recovery journey. And here's the basic fundamental principle. Now, your body inherently wants to conserve energy. Okay? It's just designed like that. If you want to do something, or if you want to stay still, the body would prefer to stay still because it wants to conserve that energy, right? Because it wants to use that energy in situations where it's required. And if you don't have energy but need to do something, well, the body's going to be very depleted. So what it wants to do is it wants to conserve almost like this reserve of energy that it can use in case something comes up. What happens though is that when you're experiencing the fight or flight response, which is what you're experiencing as you're going through anxiety, is your body starts burning through all the resources. See, with fight or flight, what your body's essentially doing is that it feels like there's a threat and it's trying to protect you. Now, what's the point of trying to protect energy if whatever the threat is ends up getting you? So what the body really wants to do is it wants to expend all of its resources, all of it. Because every second counts when you're in a threat, right? When you're in a survival mode where it's life or death, your body needs to utilize everything, all the energy, all the reserves. So what happens is that when you're in this fight or flight response, your body's burning through a lot of resources. And the consequences of that is that your body's working just a little bit faster. So what you're noticing is you're burning calories more. You're actually losing weight. Your body's putting in more work even though there's no threat. Now, what happens is with anxiety sufferers, and it's something that I dealt with, was I was very focused on regaining my weight back. I remember I was even talking to my parents one time, and I was like, man, what I would just do if I could just regain 10 pounds, because I looked sick. I did not look, healthy at all. And what I kept doing was I kept getting too hyper focused on my weight, and I would check my weight on the scale, and every time I'd look at it, I'd lose an extra 5 pounds, and I would just be so disappointed. And what I didn't realize at that time was, instead of focusing on my weight, to focus on eliminating the anxiety. And what was really interesting on my journey was I always thought that I had a lot of digestive issues. I did have a lot of digestive issues due to my anxiety. And I remember I would go to GI doctors, gastrointestinal doctors, and I would tell them that, I'm having all these digestive issues, and they weren't very concerned except for the fact that they saw me lose so much weight. I remember I had one GI doctor that was like, I might need to do a colonoscopy and endoscopy because, the symptoms you're experiencing, and we'd done a bunch of tests and they said, there's nothing to indicate any sort of inflammation or anything like that. But he was saying, you're losing weight so tremendously fast that I'm not really sure what's happening. Right? And turned out that I was actually losing all that weight due to anxiety. And so it's very important that obviously you get everything ruled out by your doctor. Don't use me as a template for your situation, right? This isn't a substitute for medical diagnoses or getting everything checked out by your doctor. So make sure you got everything checked out. But the truth is that I just want to highlight to you how bad it got. The fact that I was losing so much weight. And what I found as I help people around the world is that this is actually a very common problem. A lot of people, when they first join the mentorship, I can tell they've lost a lot of weight, their personalities disappeared, their eyes have sunken in, you can see their cheekbones a little bit clearer. And what happens is as they're getting better, what happens is their weight comes back, because what happens is that we end up desensitizing the nervous system. So you start moving from the fight or flight response to the rest and digest response. And the rest and digest, now your body finally has a chance to digest the food, to really get the nourishment that it needs, to absorb the food. And so what happens naturally is that your weight comes back on its own, but you have to be focused on eliminating the anxiety, meaning desensitizing your nervous system. Focusing on overcoming the anxiety. What I see a lot of people do is they make the mistake of creating two separate problems. I need to eliminate anxiety and I need to regain weight. What they don't realize is that losing the weight is the consequence of the anxiety. And if you just fix the anxiety, eliminating it, which is desensitizing your nervous system, well, the weight comes back on its own. And this is exactly what we see in the mentorship. Now, here's the ironic thing, okay? When I gained my weight back, I gained it back pretty fast. Once I started focusing on recovery, I actually gained weight back pretty quick. And what happens is I overshot. I ended up gaining a lot of weight. I actually became the heaviest I'd ever been. I got to like 175. And, my average weight even right now is maybe about 159, 160. And so, I almost overdid it. And I feel that a lot with the people in the mentorship. They come in, they lose a lot of weight. And what happens is their problems maybe 3 months down the line, 6 months down the line is, Shaan, I now have gained too much weight. What do I do? And I always say that's a good problem to have, right? Because when they first came, they couldn't absorb anything. Their body was like depleted. And what happened is as they got better, their weight just came back on its own. So the biggest key here is really to understand that this is a consequence of the anxiety, not to make it a separate problem. And if you're really focused on overcoming this, well, then focus on eliminating the anxiety, and all these secondary problems address themselves and get fixed themselves. And I hope this brings some clarity. I wanted to share my story because I know I've been giving you guys a lot of advice, but I haven't been sharing a lot of my story like I used to in my previous videos. So, these are little stories that I mention to people in the mentorship as I'm guiding them. And so this is something I wanted to share with you. So I really hope this video helps. I hope it points you in the right direction. And if you want to be part of the mentorship where you're around me, the coaches, and really focused on people that are like-minded, that are focused on overcoming, not, people on forums who are in victim mentality, coping crutches, all these things, really focused on overcoming this, well, then click the link down below and apply for mentorship. It's very simple. You just select a time, you fill out an application. We want to have a quick chat with you because we want to really make sure that this is the right fit for you. And we really want to get a better idea of your situation. We don't want this just to be a place where someone can just apply and get in automatically. We really want to make sure that we're focused on the right people, because there's an element of this that's a big community aspect of it. And so we want to make sure that it's the right people with the right attitude, with the right mindsets, really focus on overcoming this. So if that's you, hit the link down below and I'll see you in the next video.